start out with Lori Allen, who heads our academic services, to give you an update on the much talked about Tennessee Learning Loss Remediation Act.
So, as Matt had just mentioned, you may have heard over the past 2 or 3 years, there is a law that that was put in place in 2021 that is taking effect this summer, and it's known as the third grade retention law. So the technical name is Tennessee Learning Loss Remediation and Student Acceleration Act. And what this does is this law mandates a retention for third grade students based on their performance on the TCAP test. Now this law is only in effect right now for those students in third grade, and it's the ELA, which is the Reading, English Language Arts part of the TCAP test. So students who score, when you take a TCAP test, all students are ranked into 4 categories. They either exceed expectations, which means they've met the grade level expectations and they're really moving on, they're doing a great job. They meet those expectations for the grade level, which means they are right where we want them to be. They've learned those third grade standards, they're doing everything that they need to do to be a successful third grader. They score in approaching expectations, which means that they're not quite on grade level. They're really working hard, but they're just not quite there yet. And then there's a category called below expectations, and those students are really struggling with those expectations for third grade. So if you have a student in third grade, they're going to get a score that's ranked in one of these categories. Now, our students that score in the meets and exceeds expectations, they're good. They're moving on. There's no need to even talk about this law with them. But the students that score in this approaching and below, the state has put some things into place. Now, this law says mandated retention for third grade, okay? But the state has put some things in place called pathways to promotion, because our goal is not to retain all these third grade students. Our goal is for students in third grade to be able to read. So we're going to kind of talk through very quickly what this means and what those pathways for promotion mean for those third grade students. So just keep in mind, this is where students would rank, and keep in mind, students that are green and blue, they're good to go. But students that score in this approaching category, there are exceptions to this law. There are those pathways to promotion, so just keep that in mind, pathways to promotion. We want to promote these students. So if a student scores in this yellow approaching expectation categories, one thing that a family can do is they can have their child retested before the next, sometime this summer. So the state has given us some dates and said you can take the third grade test again, and if they score in one of these 2 categories, they're good to go. They can move on to 4th grade. Another thing that's in place for those students that score in approaching is they can attend our summer school, summer bridge camp. So we offer a summer learning camp for students in rising 1st through 9th grade. We've opened our registration this week, and so they can attend summer camp. They attend summer camp this summer, they're good to go to 4th grade. Or they can participate in a free tutoring program called Tennessee All-Core, which takes place in our schools currently right now. And Ms. Hope Malone heads up our Tennessee All-Core program in our schools, and it's a grant through the state of Tennessee. They give us the programs, they give us the funding to have this in our schools. So if they do any of these things right here, they're good to go to 4th grade. So when there are also, if you score in this approaching category, families have the opportunity. Okay, so we talked about the approaching. So those are the things that students can do, or that families can do for approaching to move on to 4th grade. If a student scores in the below expectations, the pathways to promotion for them would be to attend summer school and participate in the tutoring in 4th grade the entire next year. So if they do both of these things, then they're moving on to 4th grade. Or they can retake the TCAP test and score in that meets or exceeds and move on to 4th grade. So while this is a law that mandates retention in 3rd grade, there are many ways that students and families can move on to 4th grade. So if you'll click on Mr. Wayne, thank you. So the state of Tennessee has also given an appeal process. So students that score in this approaching category, the students that score below, they do not have an opportunity to appeal. But if they score in approaching, the state of Tennessee has said, we're going to give you an opportunity to appeal. Parents, you can appeal to us, and if they scored above the 40th percentile on something called our Ames-Webb screener, then they can move on to 4th grade. Or if there's a catastrophic situation that happened in their family, a death in their immediate family, a loss of a family home, some different things like that, then the state of Tennessee will look at those and take into account and possibly grant an appeal to those families. But that is something that families will have to appeal to them. It does not come to the school district. So in addition to that, so those are kind of the ways that students are going to be promoted. But there are students that are exempt from this law. So students who have been previously retained in grades K-3, they're exempt. They would not be retained in 3rd grade. If they're an ESL student who has less than 2 years of instruction, they would be exempt from this. And students who have received special education services focused on reading or have a suspected disability that impacts literacy. All of those students right now, the state of Tennessee is saying that they are exempt from this law. So, thank you, Mr. Wayne. So this was a slideshow with some other things that we shared with our families. So all the families in 3rd grade in our district had the opportunity to attend either an in-person meeting or we did a meeting on Zoom. And we wanted to share this information with them, but we also wanted to let them know that, you know, this is not Hawkins County's policy. This is not, Tennessee Department of Education did not write this. So this was our state representatives that put this law into place. So we gave them the opportunity, if they had questions, if they had concerns about this, to reach out, and those were our local representatives. So I know that this is some pretty heavy information, and there's a lot of things that are going on in our district to help with 3rd grade and for our students to learn to read. One thing is our book bus outside, so I hope you'll visit that book bus before you leave today and see what we have with that. That was funded by a grant through Governor's Early Literacy Foundation. We will be taking it around to all over the county this summer for kids to have an opportunity to get books. And we also have, like Matt said, we've got some things going on with streams, some things going on with our CTE programs and with special ed that we are so proud of. So even though this is in place, we want to keep in mind that it is a pathway to promotion, and our goal is for our 3rd graders to be able to read and to be successful students ready to take on the real world. So